what is missing variance? Missing variance is a scenario where you will be provided certain information, and based on that information you will be required to compute the possible variances which you can find out. So, a company has got export order from overseas. This is a special order. Earlier you have done this type of question in decision making. Now this question relates to standard costing. So, what is happening? This export order is of 3 places: US, UK and Hong Kong. There is an order for 1 month period. You have been provided with the standard cost of the product in terms of direct material, direct labor and overheads. The bifurcations of overhead is given elsewhere in the question. So, for this special order you have material used, quantum has been given, hours worked to be calculated, that is given there. Now, there are certain additional information given in the question. What are those information? Number 1, it says that company has bought 95,000 meters of clothes or material in the month for rupees 21,28,000. Further, it says that the material price variance is recorded on the basis of material purchased. Also, the second point reflects that direct labor in the month was rupees 11 lakh and labor were paid at the rate of rupees 100 per hour. Overhead for the month was rupees 9,12,000. Further, the fourth point suggests that a total of rupees 1,15,20,000 was budgeted for overhead for the year 2013-14 based on the estimated production provided at a normal capacity of 48,000 dozen shirts annually. So, overhead was at the level of production of 40% fixed and 60% variable. Overhead is applied on direct labor hour basis. So, this is the information number 4. The fifth information suggests there is no work in progress and the orders has to be done. All materials were issued lot number 246 which was 80% complete as regard conversion, but for lot number 245 and 246 there was no conversion required, 100% conversion was there. So, there are certain requirements. The question is asking you 3 things, friend. The first thing it is asking is computation of standard cost of production of shirt per dozen as well as total for lot number 245, 246, 247 which are the 3 export orders. Second point, find out variation in quantity of material used, labor hour worked for each lot as well as for the total. Find material price variance, labor rate variance, variable overhead efficiency variance and fixed overhead volume variance. So, friend, in this question you are having all variances to be computed together. So, this is one of your examination question which has appeared in previous examination, where examiner is trying to find out your level of understanding of the complete product which is shirts to be manufactured from a totality perspective. Now, let us do the computation, let us do the presentation with me. So, what presentation you require? Number 1, you require to find out what is variation happening in cost of production. Number 2, you are required to find out variation happening in material. Variation happening in labor is the third component you have to find out. From there, you are going to compute all the related variances. So, let us start the calculation just with me. So, the first point I will write here as number 1. It says computation of the standard cost of production right. The unit is here per dozen. So, you have to be little cautious, and this relates to 3 lots. So, write lot size 245, 246, 247. This is for UK, this is for US, and this is for Hong Kong. You are also provided the details cost per dozen. This is D for dozen. The dozen quantum is given, and from there you get total standard cost. So, this is the first thing you have to find out. Now, if you read in the question, information is given 2 lots are complete on total basis 100%, but 80% conversion has to happen in one of them. So, what is that lot? The lot is 246. So, for 246 lot which is going to US, you need to convert to a given level, because conversion is required to be done. For that, we are doing a working note. For lot 245 and 247, we will do together, and for lot 246, we will do separately. So, 100% conversion of material. The detail is rupees 528. 100% conversion of requisite. So, this is 534. So, if you add it, it becomes rupees 1062. But in case of lot 246, what you notice? It is 100% conversion of material cost, same thing, it is 528, and here 80% is the conversion. Here it was 100%. So, for 80%, you have to take 80% of 534. So, 80% of 534. This works out to rupees 427.20. Now, you have to add it. So, if you add it, 8715, 22415, 549 and 1, this is 9. So, 955.20 is the conversion value for lot number 246. So, you can write rupees here. Now, cost per dozen, you can keep it here in the calculation now. The calculation value says 1062 for 245 and 247. This figure you have put. Now, this figure is going to come 955.20 here at 246. So, this is the calculation. Now, how many dozens? The question says 1700, 1000 and 1200. This is given in the question. So, you please multiply the two and get the total standard cost. So, total standard cost is coming something like this: 18 lakh 5400. This comes 11 lakh 46,240, and finally 10 lakh 62,000. So, if you add all this thing, it becomes 40 lakh 13,640. So, this is the value which is coming, which shows standard cost of production per dozen for the 3 orders 245, 246, 247. This tells you what is the standard cost of production. Another aspect which question is asking is How much is the variation between standard quantity of material and actual quantity of material used in the three types of order? So, let us do that part also. So, we are making statement of variation between standard and actual quantity. So, again the lot number you have 245, 246 and 247. Output in dozen, it is 1700, 1200 and 1000. Your standard quantity per dozen is provided 24, 24 and 24. So, total standard quantity, how you get total standard quantity? You multiply these figures. So, this is 28,800, this is 24,000 and the first one is 40,800. Now, total actual quantity, the total actual quantity is given in the question 40,400, 28,825 and 24,100. Now, what is the variation? Variation is the difference between total standard quantity and actual quantity. So, you have to subtract and get the value 360 favorable. Why favorable? Because you were required to do 40,800 on a standard basis and you have used less resource 40,400. Therefore, you have done a saving. So, the saving is coming like 360. Now, the second one 28,800 was standard, you take 25 more. So, this is 25 adverse. Here you are required to take 24,000, you took 100 more. So, 100 is adverse. So, if you add them together, what you get? You get a total value of 235 adverse. So, this is the variation between standard and actual quantity which is there. So, this is the first part of the question which is continuing. Now, I will rub the board and try to find out what is the variation between the standard and actual labor hours. Now, we are now working for the difference in the labor hour. So, you are making a statement of variation between standard and actual labor hours. Right? So, you have lot number, output in dozen. So, let us start. What are the lot number? 245, 246, 247, right? Output is same 1700, 1200, 1000. Standard labor hour per dozen is given 333. Total standard labor hour it is the multiplication 5100 and 3000, right. Further, actual labor hour is provided. So, please see the question paper. The values are, so what is the difference or the variation or the variance, whatever name you can say, you are required to use 5100 and you took 5130. So, 30 is what? Favorable or adverse? You took more, therefore, it is adverse. 246 need 80% conversion value. So, for 1200 dozen, if you take 80% value at rupees 3 per hour, that calculation will come 2880 and the value given is 2890. So, what is the difference? The difference is 10 adverse. Here what is the difference? 20 favorable. So, on a total basis if you find, what is the variation? 40 adverse, 20 favorable. So, it is 20 adverse. If you total it, the total comes 11,000. If you total the standard labor hour, it comes 10,980 and the output if you count is 3,900. So, this is the third item which tells you what is the labor variance, sorry, what is the labor difference, the word is variation. So, do not use variance here unless question says to use variance, we should use whatever is given in the question. So, we have done this part which is the second part of the solution. Now, we move to the third part of the solution which talks of computation of variances. The question asks you different variances from material, labor, variable and fixed overhead. So, let us work each variances separately. Now, friend, you must be noticing if this question comes for 10 marks, you have marks for each point. So, you have done 3 points, you have done standard cost of production, you have done material, you have done labor. Now, you have to do almost 5 variances. Therefore, you can see you have a proportionate marking system. So, in the exam you have to move little faster. You might have to escape some calculation in case you are taking more time, because nowadays papers are coming lengthier, accuracy is needed. So, always advised to leave certain part if you are taking more time and solve it little later when you have finished the paper. But what is important, whatever you do, do it correctly. So, we start computing material price variance. This is on the basis of purchase quantity as provided in the question, standard price minus actual price. So, if you see the quantity purchased is 95,000 meter, the standard price is rupees 22. What is the actual price? We can find out. The actual price is given at rupees 21,28,000 for the total purchase. If you divide it with 95,000 meter, you get actual price per unit. So, you have to solve it. How you solve? One way to solve is multiply this and minus this. This is the quickest way to solve, or you can use your calculator. So, I am going to use the 95,000 into 22. This is 20,90,000 minus 21 lakh 28,000. The second part you take as it is. So, the value which is coming is 38,000 adverse. This is the first variance. Now, questions ask you to find out what is the labor rate variance. So, the formula is already known to you, actual hour into standard rate per hour minus actual rate per hour. So, if you solve it, it is 11,000 hour, standard rate per hour is rupees 98 and actual rate per hour is 100. So, you are paying more. So, therefore, it is a adverse variance which is coming, and on multiplication this becomes 22,000 adverse. So, this is the second variance you have computed. Let us write it A, B clearly, because examiner can locate and do marking accordingly. Then you have variable overhead efficiency variance. This variance is standard variable overhead rate per hour. This is multiplied to standard hour of actual output minus actual hour. So, if you use this particular one, let us put the values. It is 48, 10,980 minus 11,000 hours. So, this works out to rupees 960 adverse. The last variance the examiner has asked is fixed overhead volume variance. So, the formula is standard fixed overhead rate per hour. This is multiplied with standard hour for actual output minus budgeted hour. Please fill the value. The rate is 48 rupees. This is multiplied with the rate is 32. So, I believe you must have understood how we have done bifurcation. So, 60% of rupees 80 is 48 and 40% of rupees 80 is 32. So, 48 is related to variable overhead and 32 is related to fixed overhead, right. So, this information is given in the question. You can take it as a working note. So, this is 32. Standard hour for actual output is given at 10,980 hour and this is 1100, in fact 11,000 hours. So, if you solve it, it becomes rupees, this is 20 into 32, this becomes 640. So, 640 is adverse. So, friend, you have solved this question. This question relates to from paper evaluator's point. If I am the examiner, how I am going to evaluate it? This is what I am going to make you understand from this question. You remember, we have found cost of production, we have found material, we have got labor 3 point, we have got material price variance, rate variance of labor, variable overhead efficiency variance, fixed overhead volume variance. So 7 point, 1 point is the working note. So 8 points are there. If it is a 10 mark question, you can understand each point is important and you must make a proper presentation the way I have done.